Breakup season. Everybody knows what cuffing season is all about. So what I'm going to go ahead and let you do is I'm going to let you do the research on cuffing season. I'm pretty sure I wrote a blog about this. Anyways, breakup season. Breakup season is one of the topics that is never addressed in a relationship. Breakup season really occurs around this time period. And it's always the time of the year when my phone blows up the most. My phone blows up, my Twitter blows up. When my Twitter blows up, my computer blows up. My messages blow up. My inbox is blowing up. All because breakups happen around this time of the year. And breakups happen in the spring, breakups happen up in the summertime. Now, what is breakup season? Breakup season is basically used by couples who actually get out of a relationship before the spring happens. Spring? Spring? Why the spring? Because in the spring, think about it, you have spring break. When you have spring break, you like to go venture off somewhere down in Gulf Shores, down in South Beach somewhere, and you want to go have fun with your homeboys and homegirls doing God knows what. Now, I'm not trying to judge you, but I'm saying that's what happens.
So, any other time besides spring break?
Well, summertime, think about it, summertime. What happens during the summertime? Okay, when summertime rolls around, you get to do whatever you want to do. Now, some of you guys will get into the summertime cuffing season. Now, summertime cuffing season is a little bit different, but I'm going to address to you about that some later on down the road. We stick it with breakup season. Breakup season is basically one person calling off the relationship. Now, there's always one person in the relationship who does the most effort, and there's always one person in the relationship that calls off the relationship. There's always one person in the relationship that doesn't see the future, and there's always one person in the relationship that does see the future. There's always one person in the relationship that does the most, and there's one person who really doesn't give a crap. Why do they not give a crap? Because you already know that there's always one thing that most people want to go after in a relationship. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to say that, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. Now, there are some pros and cons of breaking up. Here are the pros. The pros is you're starting to become more focused on your life. You're starting to become independent. You're starting to become more about what you really want to do. So you want to take that extra mile to be alone for a second, and then you just want to go off and venture the world, and then you just want to go off and do whatever you want to do. That's basically what it is. Now, here are the cons of breaking up. The cons of breaking up is basically how is that other person is going to react. I remember 3 years ago, I had just broken up with one of my exes. It really took me a gut instinct to feel like, how is she going to react when I call this relationship off? It's like, okay, so I don't think this is going to work. I feel like that maybe we should break up. When I called that relationship off, I kept thinking everything was going through my head. Oh, what is she gonna say? How is she gonna react to this? Dang, we had such a good relationship, but I'm afraid how this is gonna all work out. But then again, in the end, it kind of all worked out well. She said, all right, well, I feel like it's not going anywhere too. So, hey, things kind of happen. So we kind of pushed our relationship off to the side, and then we said, yeah, and we just call it good. But so, I mean, we're still friends. But the thing about it is in the breakup, you kind of have to be mindful about what exactly is you're actually wanting. All I'm saying is you got to be careful what you do in the breakup season. Sometimes us people, yeah, we like to break up sometimes, but then again, we forget we forget why we want to break up. Why do we want to break up with that person? This is what confuses me. Okay, you get into a relationship that lasts maybe about a year, maybe even more than that. I've seen couples who've done that. But when that relationship takes off, you starting to become that couple that might have that potential. And when you have that potential, you actually be somebody, you actually go somewhere. You're making that whole relationship to be the role model of other relationships. You have so much in a relationship. You guys go on dates. You guys go on to movies. You guys hang out a lot. You guys are best friends in a relationship. And then somehow, some way, you come to a relationship, and then boom, it's done. It's over with. And there's always that one person relationship that's like doing the most crying. And now they're sitting there thinking,
What did I do wrong? Like, what did I do wrong? Like,
and that's what always happens. Now, okay, I'm about to go up on the ladies' side for this part right here. Now, men, let me get this straight. Man, when you break up with the female, there's going to be three things that she's going to be thinking about. What have I done wrong? What was the purpose? And was it all true? Was the whole relationship true? Let's break this down real quick. Let's break it down. When a girl and a guy breaks up in a relationship that had lasted maybe about a year or more, and when the girl thinks, what have I done wrong? She's going to start thinking, oh, maybe it was me. Maybe I've done something wrong. But what was it though? I've done everything. I cooked for him. I cleaned for him. I did so much for him. I made all these sacrifices for him. I gave up my friends for him. What have I done wrong? I just don't know. What have I done wrong? And those guys are thinking this like, well, I mean, hey, I don't know. Now let's break this down. Number two. All right. What was the purpose? What was the purpose of the relationship? Now, here's what I think. Now, I think that if a relationship had lasted maybe a year or more, maybe, there might be some potential in that relationship. But the fact that is when you break up, you're thinking, okay, all those memories, all the things that we've done in the past, was that all true love? Or was that just all stuff for the moment? Was that just all lies that you've been secretly hiding from me? Or was that all truth that you really loved me back then, but you don't really love me now? Now, what's different between loving me back then and loving you right now? I think you kind of got to reevaluate that right there. You got to reevaluate time. Now, was it all truth? Was it all truth? Was the relationship true? In other words, everything that went on in the relationship, was it built on love? Or was everything in the relationship built on showmanship? Showmanship basically means you're showing the relationship off to the world, but then behind closed doors, it's not exactly what it appears to be. That's what showmanship is. That's what I hate. And that's the whole problem right there. And a lot of people, when they break up, they're going to think, well, maybe that whole relationship was all for showmanship. Okay, here's another thing. In a breakup, we often get two things mixed up: excuses and reasons. Excuses is nothing but a simple matter in mind on why we're going to call the relationship off. We always make excuses. Then there's reasons. There have to be a legitimate reason to why you break up with that person. If you're focusing on yourself, that's great. If you're trying to better yourself, that's great. But is there a legitimate reason? Is the reason based on her? Is the reason based on yourself? Is the reason based on some other people? Whatever it is, you have to come clean. You have to make sure that that person knows the whole truth on why you're breaking up. Since it is breakup season now, I understand that, the relationship may have not been what it should be. And I understand that because a lot of times we don't want to get into a wrong relationship. Here's what I think. Being in no relationship at all is better than being in a wrong relationship. That's my status quo. And I always think that maybe we just have to reevaluate. So for all those people who have been with previous lovers, previous exes, if the relationship was good back then, maybe you should call them up sometime, okay? Maybe you should probably have like a long sit-down chat session. I remember it was last summer. I seen this girl. She had just gotten out of a relationship. When she had gotten out of the relationship, she was devastated. And when she was devastated, there was nothing I could have done. I mean, I could have done something, but I really wanted to see how she would react as the time went on and time as months went along. But anyway, it was about 3 months later, maybe even more than that, got into a new relationship. Now, I'm gonna let you know something about breakups here. This is what gets me about breakups. When you broken up with somebody and they kind of find someone new just in that quick, there was either two things they thought about. Either they've been secretly talking for a long time and you didn't know about it, or is she trying to rebound to get away from the past? Is she trying to break away from not being hurt? Is she trying to find someone new to ease that pain away? Now, sometimes breakups happen because some people always want one thing in a relationship. And when they want one thing, they get what they want. And when they get what they want, then boom, bam, slam, you got it. And then you call the relationship off. And when the relationship is called off, everything goes down the shambles. All the jewelry that you bought, all the shoes that you bought, all the bills that I paid, all the money I've spent, all the sacrifices I made, going to your football games, going to your dance recitals, going to your music recitals, all that plays in a role. And when it plays in a role, that's when the relationship, is really starting to get real. And when the relationship gets real, then you already know the relationship is going to have potential. So you kind of got to think twice. Think twice about why you want to break up with that person. Okay? Because the way you're feeling right now is probably different than how you may see and feel your way in the future. Do you get what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is this: if you are feeling devastated now, if you are feeling stressed out, maybe your partner in the relationship can probably help your way through. You see, we forget that partners are a two-way thing. And when partners are a two-way thing, okay, we forget that partners are supposed to help each other out. But no, we want to be selfish. And that's what I don't understand. Why do we have to be selfish? We're not thinking about the other person. We're thinking about ourselves. That's where the whole thing relies on, is we forget that relationship is a 200 relationship. Yes, a relationship, it's a give and take. It's a 50-50. But why not focus on a relationship as a 100-100? 100 equals 200. Think about the Venn diagram effect. Here you are, and here's your partner. Come together, just like that. 100, 200. See, we think a relationship 50-50, 50-50. No, it's not like that. It's this. Here's the thing. I've probably talking to many people within the past. And what really hurts me the most is seeing people break up because they don't think that person isn't beautiful anymore. They thought maybe that person has lost it all. And what's really devastating about that is we care too much on outside beauty and we care too much on physical appearance. But then again, we don't sit and analyze what that person has done for us and what that person is like on the inside. Another thing that we kind of look at breaking up is we focus so much on negativity. We focus so much on the past. We forget that we have to accept their past. We have to accept them as a person. And we can't recognize outer beauty, but we have to recognize inner beauty. And that's what God intended us to all be. He made sure that we should all love each other, not based on outside, but based on the inside. And maybe if that person can't do something now to you and for you, maybe that person can probably do something for you in the future. So you kind of got to look at that, all right? You kind of have to look at, sometimes you have to look at the present, but sometimes you kind of have to look at what may happen in the future. You know, there's always a reason why we are in a relationship that we are in today. Now, sometimes we're in a relationship because there are teachable moments. Sometimes what we take in a relationship, we have to apply it to the next relationship. And if we get into a bad relationship for that one, we have to apply it to the next one. Everything we do is a learning opportunity. It is a new experience. It is a learning experience. So what can you take from that? That's what I'm trying to say. And man, since this topic is so huge, I have to like think about this because all I gotta say is this: for most people, breaking up isn't easy at all. No one likes going through a breakup. Even I don't like going through a breakup, especially when you're in a deep relationship that probably lasts maybe a year or two. And relationships is something that I value. I like seeing couples happy. I like seeing some potential in them. But then that always happens. It's always something so small that causes one thing. It's always one little small thing that causes them to break up. And sometimes I just don't understand it one bit. Now here's the thing. Our minds will tend to think the stronger the relationship, the more we start thinking towards family. And when we start thinking about family, we start thinking about the future. Now, some of us think maybe it's too soon. Maybe it's not the right time to think about, which I understand that. But what's the goal if you're in a relationship now? Is it just a fling? Or do you really want to spend the rest of your life with this person? I mean, I've talked to couples who've had a great relationship. But I always say, aim for the best, but prepare for the worst. Because you never know when somebody is going to drop that B word on you. I think it's time we should break up. I think it's time we should see other people. I just don't get it. But then again, what we fail to realize is the moment we break up with that person, how do we feel right now? We feel miserable. And when we feel miserable, we're so down in the dumps and we're depressed because we forget that everything, all the spark that was in a relationship is now gone. And we forget that that person has done so much to us that it impacted us. And when it impacted us, it left us with the great feeling that maybe this person has the potential to be one of the best partners I could possibly ever been with. We just have to realize on our part, on ourselves, we're too selfish. We're too negative. We don't think about them. We think more about ourselves. So instead of thinking about ourselves and not worrying about them, maybe we should probably worry about ourselves and evaluate ourselves. Maybe we should recognize the good in them and stop focusing on the good in us. Maybe that's the problem. Here's one thing. When we break up, we can try all our duty to forget about that person. But no matter what happened, there's always that small part within us that makes us impactful about them. And it's always that small part that we miss about them. So think about that. We don't look at the actual reason why we want to get into the relationship in the first place. We always want to jump into a relationship, but then again, we don't want to focus on the long run. It's like we want someone just because we can have them and there's someone by our side, but then we also don't look at what that person may impact us on in the future. And this is what I want to talk to you about. being in a relationship ain't just about having someone there next to us or to cuddle up with or to kiss and to hug. A relationship is more than just two people. It's a basic foundation of friendship. It's a basic foundation of two people growing together, sharing some same thoughts, being together as a whole, being unique. When we're in a relationship, sometimes things happens to us that affects us deeply. And sometimes we always need that alone time to how to cope with it. And then we're often finding ourselves in a relationship to where it takes so much time and effort to be with that person. So there are times when we have to break up and call it off. And when we call off the relationship, then that plays a bigger effect on the other person we're with. And on that other person that we're with, they're left confused. And when they're left confused, they're always left with the questions such as, what have I done wrong? What has he done wrong? Where has this relationship been going if this whole thing was a lie? Was this relationship a lie, or was it all based on facts? Did he or she just wanted one thing in the relationship and that was it? Or did they really want to go somewhere in this relationship? Was it something I said? Maybe that person that you was in a relationship with didn't have that same feeling or didn't have that same love that you gave them, that no one else have gave them. And a lot of times I see people break up someone because of what their past was. I've seen people break up because of what their looks were. I've seen people break up because they were peer pressured. But we have to realize and understand that when you're in a relationship, you have to do all it takes to fulfill not just your partner's motivations and dreams, but you have to fulfill the entire picture. You have to make sure that you accept their past. You have to make sure that you love them on the inside. You have to make sure you always tell the truth. And you have to make sure that you're being thoughtful about what you really want and what he or she wants and what's the goal you're trying to seek. So if you with someone now and you're thinking about breaking up with that person, and that person has done so much in a relationship and has made an impact on you and you made a bigger impact on them, maybe you should reconsider. Maybe you should evaluate. Maybe you should take the time and think and sit down and ask yourself, is this what I really want? Or make a goal. Just say that if this is what I really want, how can I move forward? How can we move forward? How can we go and become someone who we may set the example for other couples?